still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing.
First of all, that's just nuts. Second of all, any of these things like, oh, isn't it curious how they stage things? No, you're egging on people on your side to think crazy things.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, Michael.
Welcome back to Disputes, the channel where we cover the longest I told you so in human history. Today we're diving into the Young Turks calling out Joy Reid from MSNBC for some controversial comments she made about President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. Let's start with some background. Recently, Joy Reid made comments about President Joe Biden contracting COVID-19. She compared it to former President Donald Trump getting shot, suggesting that both events demonstrate their strength. Reid also made a bold claim that the assassination attempt on Trump was staged. This didn't sit well with a lot of people, including the Young Turks, who didn't hold back in their response.
These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day. But his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing?
No. No, it doesn't.
So, what exactly did the Young Turks have to say about Joy Reid's comments? Well, they were pretty outraged. They called her out for making such an extreme comparison and for spreading what they see as misinformation. Cenk stated he had COVID a week prior and it felt like the flu. On the same note, I had COVID a couple weeks ago as well, and it was a walk in the park. Understandably, Joe Biden is 81 years old, so having COVID is different for him. But let's be real, it's no comparison to what Donald Trump just went through at his rally in Pennsylvania. Let's take a look at some clips from their show to get a better understanding of their perspective.
First of all, that's just nuts. Second of all, any of these things like, oh, isn't it curious how they stage things? No, you're egging on people on your side to think crazy things.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, Michael Steele did the same thing, again, on MSNBC. They're starting to really sound like the MAGA version, on the Democratic side, for sure. And then what kind of lunatic thing is it to say, oh, you got COVID, you got shot, it's the same thing? No, it's not. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago. It was a normal cold. So look, COVID now is, especially if I get it, he's 81 and it's a little bit more of a risk. And God knows what happened. I hope nothing happens to President Biden. And something could happen. But getting a cold is not the same thing as getting shot in the head. Like you're embarrassing yourself by saying ridiculous things like this. And unfortunately, Anna, they've kind of trained their audience to want this. They want some sort of criticism of Donald Trump under any and all circumstances. But guys, there's a billion things to criticize him on policy and the other crazy stuff he does. And when you criticize him on those things, you lose credibility when you also criticize him for how he got shot.
As you can see, the Young Turks were not impressed. They argued that equating a health issue like COVID-19 to an assassination attempt is not only inappropriate, but also dangerous. They emphasize the importance of responsible journalism and the need to avoid sensationalism. Let's be real, Joy Reid needs to do some yoga for the amount of reaching she's doing. Let's break down Joy Reid's comparison a bit further. On one hand, you have President Biden contracting the flu, a serious health concern that has affected millions worldwide. On the other hand, you have the idea of Trump getting shot, a hypothetical scenario that carries a completely different weight and implication. Comparing the two seems like a stretch, and it's easy to see why many, including the Young Turks, found it silly. Now, on to the even more controversial part of Reid's statement, the claim that the assassination attempt on Trump was staged. Now, she didn't exactly say staged, but after watching the video, it's pretty obvious what she's implying here. This is a serious allegation and one that requires substantial evidence. So far, no credible sources have supported this claim. The Young Turks were quick to point out the potential dangers of spreading such unverified information, especially in today's polarized political climate. TYT manages to call Reid a conspiracy theorist, you know? Like MSNBC has been saying about the right for the last decade.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet, whether he was hit by glass fragments, whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We knew almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him. We don't know why, for 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew. That there could have been 5 shooters for all they knew. Yet they allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis and pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to Donald Trump's ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right? Where are the FOIAs? Why isn't the New York Times aggressively pursuing his medical records? It's just weird. Just a strange thing that I've noticed. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it too, but it's weird.
Cenk, I'm curious what you thought about that.
No, she's totally in La La Land. I mean, that is super heavily implying that the shooting was staged. Like, oh, why did they let him stand back up? Why did they give him 9 seconds to set up that photo op that she said, I don't know, she might even, I don't remember if she used the word stage, but almost everything she said was super heavily implying that it was staged.
And look.
And like conspiratorial things like, oh, did it really hit his ear? But guys, one more thing, hold on, Anna, sorry.
Yeah.
The stuff about the teleprompter shattering and the glass hitting him, if you said that in the first couple of hours, which I did, that's because all those reports were flying around and we were trying to figure out what happened and why the injury was so light.
Right.
Totally understandable. You were saying that 4 or 5 days after the shooting. Everybody knows the teleprompter didn't break. It's on tape. Everybody knows it wasn't glass. Why are you still saying that?
I know.
It's such a weird conspiracy theory. Like, I'm sorry, man, but it's embarrassing. And look, when Republicans used to say Trump derangement syndrome, I was like, there's no such thing. They're just making that up. Anyone who criticizes Trump, they say, oh, you got Trump derangement syndrome. But apparently there is Trump derangement syndrome. And it doesn't affect most of Trump's critics at all, right? But it apparently infected almost all the MSNBC hosts. What she was saying there sounded like QAnon kind of crazy talk.
Yeah, I agree. And look, the final thing I'll say is, look, even if you take Trump out of it, okay, for the people who are alleging that, oh, this was all staged, a person is dead, okay, a Trump rally goer, a father of 2 daughters, dead. He was shot and killed as he was shielding his family from the shooter. And 2 other individuals were in critical condition. I think their condition has improved slightly, but they're still in the hospital and it's still serious.
Yeah, it's just last thing, because I want you to think about how crazy these conspiracy theories are. So what do you think?
This brings us to a crucial point about responsible journalism. In an age where misinformation can spread like wildfire, it's essential for media personalities to be cautious about their statements. The Young Turks highlighted this by criticizing Reid for what they saw as a reckless comparison and an unfounded claim. I have to give credit to the Young Turks for the reporting they have been doing. I used to like them before the Trump derangement syndrome. Customer! Luckily, they didn't have stage 4 TDS and have found somewhat of a remedy that seems to be working. As viewers, it's important for us to critically evaluate the information we consume and hold our media to high standards. The disagreement between Joy Reid and the Young Turks underscores the ongoing challenges in media today. Sensationalism, misinformation, and the need for responsible reporting are all at the forefront of this debate. It must be noted that whatever your political views are, a man died at the Trump rally shielding his kids from bullets. That's real, and to implement conspiracies that this is staged is uncharted territory. Remember what happened to the man whose name must not be said. You're falling into the same rhetoric that got him sued for millions and his whole livelihood taken away. But I digress. The life of Corey was real, and here's a clip of Donald Trump recently paying his respects.
We did something which cannot match what happened, not even close. But I am very proud to say that over the past few days, we've raised $6.3 million for the families of David, James, and Corey, including from a friend of mine just called up. He sent me a check right here. I just got it. $1 million from Dan Newland. Thank you, Dan.
So what are your thoughts on this situation? Do you agree with the Young Turks' criticism, or do you think Joy Reid's comments were taken out of context? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more disputes on the latest news and controversies. Until next time, we told you so.